Hello hikers, I hope you're all doing well. Andy here, one of the founders. I wanted to record a really quick video as today's quite an important day in terms of Google Analytics. Today is the last day that you can install Google Analytics 4 and still get a year's worth of data in a year's time. That probably doesn't make much sense. So let me start again if you don't know. So Google Analytics at the minute is running what we call version 3. So it's had its multiple versions. So it's GA3 at the moment, right? Google Analytics 3. Now Google Analytics have brought out a brand new version, a new updated version. They call it Google Analytics 4. The thing about Google Analytics 4 is your account doesn't just switch from GA3 to GA4. You won't just log in one day and suddenly you've got all this improved functionality and it's GA4. No, it's like a whole new product that you need to install on your website. So just like how you've installed Google Analytics 3 tracking code onto your website at the moment, in order to get all the benefits of GA4, you've got to install the code, right? So it's a bit of a, as we say in England, a bit of a faff. But it's fairly simple. The reason it's important to do it today is, well, it doesn't, GA3, what you're using at the moment, is going to be out of existence. So they're going to kill it. And that means you're going to lose all the data, everything. But that's not happening for a year's time. So you might go, Andy, why are you making me do this today? Well, because it's happening in a year's time. If you set up GA4 now, what that means is in a year's time, when GA3 is shut down and you can only use GA4, you'll have a year's worth of data in there. Because we're going to lose all the historical GA3 data. So we're not going to be able to compare year on year, forever and ever. You're only going to be able to look back in what you've got in your GA4 account. And GA4, as long as you do it today, we'll have a year's worth of data. And year-on-year reporting is the most important thing, right? So if you're ever looking at Google Analytics, for the majority of industries, majority of our clients, when you're doing comparisons, do year on year, because there's so many seasonal stuff that month on month isn't really important. So anyway, enough of the waffling. Let's get through on how to set up and install Google Analytics 4 on your website. So log into Google Analytics. Let me move my face out of the way. And down here, click on this admin button. Okay. Then over here, you will see this in the middle, GA4 Setup Assistant. There is a little step where you'll need to create your GA4 property. Then there'll be a little pop-up just saying what it's going to do. Click yes that you want to do it. Then you'll come to here. Then you need to click on this button here. Go to your GA4 property. It's really important. I remember when I was doing this originally, I was looking for the tracking code for GA4 and I kept clicking on this. I was getting myself all confused. You've got to click on this. Go to your GA4 property. Opens it up in a new tab. Because what we need to do now is you've set up, that was really simple, that's how simple it is to set up your GA4 property. Now we need to get that tracking code, put it on your website. What's really interesting is, over here on GA3, they use the term tracking info. So simple, right? You click on it, gives you your tracking code. They don't do that in GA4. You've got to go to data streams. Then what you can do is, these are called streams. The way GA4 is, you can set up a stream, as in tracking data from multiple platforms, I guess. If you've got a website, or you can have a different one for your iOS app, your Android app, or your web, or you can just do all. So we're just doing all, right? So you'll have that in at the moment. Click that, and then if you scroll down, this is what I'm talking about. Enhanced measurement is a new thing that it's doing. So this is a really cool feature of GA4. It's going to automatically measure things that people do on your website, so interactions and content on your website. So the problem with traditional Google Analytics is you see how long people spend on your website, but that's it. You don't see how they're interacting with certain lines. Are they clicking on this? Are they leaving your website here? Are they viewing this content, etc.? You just know how long they spent on the page and then where they went to next. But enhanced measurement is going to be more like I guess closer to, not quite, like a recording software. If you ever use Hotjar or something like that. Moving more towards that, giving you more data on actual interactions on a page. So look, page views, scrolls, outbound clicks, site search, video engagement, and file downloads as well. So it's giving you some way more information. Okay, so tagging instructions. This is the important bit. This is about adding the GA4 code onto your website. And as long as you do it before the 1st of July, so by midnight tonight, then that means in a year's time when GA3 shut down, you can log into GA4 and you'll have a year's worth of data, which is pretty important. Now, there's two ways that you can, you'll want this one, add new on tag page. You've got two ways of doing it. First is your more traditional way, which is your Google Analytics tracking code that you want to install onto your website. So what I'm going to show in this video is us doing it for the Hike website. Now, we're on WordPress. Now, the majority of our customers are on WordPress, but there's a lot of you that aren't. Essentially, adding this tracking code is a little bit like adding the traditional Google Analytics tracking code. So what you want to do, if you haven't done it before, is go to Google and just search how to add Google Analytics tracking code, or how to add GA4 to Shopify, how to add GA4 to Wix, how to add GA4 to GoDaddy, or whoever it may be. Right? Really, really simple to do, and it will have a guide. But it's pretty much the same as before. You've got this tracking code. So you grab the tracking code. Now you need to install it on your website, just like you did with the previous Google Analytics code. So, whether you're developing yourself, it's all been done before. So when it comes to WordPress, you need to add it actually into the header of your website. Well, this is the same for all. Some people add into footer. They don't advise that because with the page loading, sometimes it doesn't load in time. You want to put it into the header of the website. Now, how I'll typically do it is I'll go, let me just put my face up here. Here we go. I don't think that's going to work. Okay. I will go to Appearance. I'll go to the theme file editor. I'll make sure we're on the right theme. Let me move back over. Then I'll go down to the header.php. And I would install it into the head here. So before the closing the head, so there you've got PHP, WP head. I would literally just put it into there, right? And then save, and then it's saved into your header. That's one way of doing it. If you don't like touching these theme files, there's a great plugin. There's a few plugins you can use. The one that I've used typically in the past is it's called like Insert Header and Footer. But what it does is just a nice plugin that basically does this bit for you, but just a nice clean interface. It accesses this and it just says paste in your code and it will put it straight into the header. I think it's called Insert Headers. Yeah, that's a nice one. Or there'll be other plugins as well, right? So that's a really simple way. However, another way to do it, and it's the way that we do it, is, if I close this little one here, is Google Tag Manager. So we actually use Google Tag Manager for all these kind of tracking codes and tags. So if you don't know what Google Tag Manager is, it's a tool that Google have that allows you to easily and quickly add tags onto a website. So tags are just like this, bits of code that sit in the background that are inserted into your website that then the browser can use, or tools like this can use, right? Google Tag Manager is a real nice free tag manager solution. And then what you have to do is you only have to install one bit of code, like Tag Manager code into here, and then if you ever need to add another tag, you just do it all through Google Tag Manager. So you don't need to touch the code of your website very often, you can do it all through here. So if you go to Google Tag Manager, it talks you through. And that's actually how we've done it. So if I jump over to Google Tag Manager over here, you can see the tags Analytics v4. So our Analytics v4, we called the tag. It's a GA4 configuration. So it's a tag type, the one that's already on there. And then you trigger it to fire on all pages. So yeah, really, really simple. So that's the best way to do it. So I guess in summary then, if you're using Tag Manager, do it through Tag Manager. It's just easier, quicker, a much cleaner way of doing it. If you're doing it through WordPress and you're not using Google Tag Manager, then do it either via the theme files or do it through a plugin that accesses this. And then if you're using any other platform, CMS platform, do a quick Google. I mean, you should just be able to add in the analytics code to where you've added it before. However, you might want to look because you want to kind of have the two codes running in tandem for the next year. Because the problem is, you want to set up GA4 from now, right? Now, if your CMS website builder only allows you to have one Google Analytics code, then what that means is you can only put the GA4 one on now, right? And the problem is that's got no historical data at all. And learning GA4 is going to take a while. So you want to make sure that you've got an ability to be able to add the two kind of side by side. So do a quick Google search, how to install Google Analytics 4 in Wix, in Shopify, in Squarespace, etc., etc. And it should be fairly simple. I think in Shopify you can edit the theme liquid file, so it'd be kind of like doing this. With those other ones, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some great articles that people have written. So yeah, there you go. So again, in summary, try and get this set up before the end of today if you can. That means in a year's time, when Google Analytics 3, which is what the majority of you are using, is shut down, when you then use GA4, you'll have a year's worth of data. The reason that's important is because whenever you're reviewing your performance, you want to be reviewing it from a year-on-year standpoint. You don't want to be doing month-on-month, ideally. Year-on-year, it's just a bigger bigger data set to compare, which gives you much better insights. Yeah, try and do it. Use the best way to do it. Tag Manager is probably the cleanest way, so if you can do that, that'd be great. That might be a way for some of those other website builders. If they only allowed you to add one, see if you can add Tag Manager and put them both into Tag Manager. And yeah, I hope you found this video helpful if you've not done this already. And feel free to drop any messages. We'll try and support wherever we can. All right, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.